Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Ryan from Nefarious Comics. I'm extra excited because we've been away for a couple weeks. Life has been happening. Danielle's been all over the place. I've been all over the place. But here we are. Welcome to What's Trending, guys. And welcome to you on your own channel, Danielle. How are you?
Hey, guys, it's been a minute since we got to do one of these. We're back.
We
I'm getting
are
back to a
back.
schedule and life.
Man, okay, so guys, listen to this. So Danielle and I talk all the time. We're buddies. And we're always like, yo, who should we have on the YouTube? And I'm like, Danielle, listen, like, what better of a guest to have than you? And I will tell you guys why. It's because I am privileged to call you my friend, Danielle. I'm also privileged to consider you like a mentor to me. You know what I mean? The old saying is, if you hang around a bunch of tennis players, you are likely to find yourself in a tennis match. And if you hang around very successful people, i.e. you, Danielle, the success bleeds. And so, guys, I get behind the scenes, inside knowledge to some of Danielle's exploits. And I don't think a lot of you guys actually know like a lot about Danielle, because this week alone, like two different people that know that I'm friends with you, Danielle, have been like, Ryan, how does Danielle have all the stuff she has? So without further ado, guys, Danielle, welcome to What's Trending. And I really want to I really want to hear some stories to share with everyone because you are full of them. And so, Danielle, listen, you and I, when we were talking about it the other day, I was like, Danielle, what's a story about you driving through the desert in the back of a pickup truck to pick up a collection? I know, exactly. That's what she said. She goes, Ryan, what are you smoking? I'm like, well, that's another episode. She's like, no, but there was this really cool collection from Kansas City. So, like, tell us about this Kansas City collection.
Oh gosh, this is probably a good decade ago. We had teamed up with Brent from Quality Comics. He's down in, I think he's in Alabama. And he's like, hey, do you want to go to Kansas? And I'm like, okay, what's in Kansas? So it was for this giant collection. It was actually the Tongi Farms collection. He's still selling it. I actually ended up with a few of those books. I found them in a box at a show and I bought them. They actually went to homes from what I ended up auctioning them on Whatnot. So if you have those books, tag me in them if you see this episode. And it was, oh my gosh, there were probably close to 100 long boxes of books. It was massive. They were all super high grade, Silver Age, Bronze Age. And I just remember we had to rent a U-Haul and the books are in the back. Adam is in the back. He's like, I hear like this slamming into the wall. It's him getting thrown into the wall. We're driving up like this super steep. And if you've not had the privilege of driving with me or been on the phone with me, I'm a really not great driver. I have a lot of road rage. I am not the best driver, admittedly.
No comment. No comment, Danielle. No comment.
Ryan's heard me road rage out of and so we end up on this like ridiculous hill and it's like probably 20 feet steep. No, I'm lying. It's more than that. It's probably like 40 feet steep. And I'm like, oh shit. How are we going to get up this hill in this U-Haul truck with all these books in the back? And so we're going like 10 to 15 miles an hour. And it was really fun to pick up that collection.
Okay, so we're talking 10 years ago. The market, guys, was a completely different landscape, completely different place. Like, for instance, back then, I would consider buying a book over $5,000 as like frivolous and like something kind of niche, not as like mostly like a business investment like I do today. So, like, what kind of stuff were you seeing in this collection, Danielle?
It was really near complete runs of Silver Age, Bronze Age. Like it's collections now that would cost like six figures easily, high or mid six figures, just because the condition was so nice on it. A lot of the Silver Age keys, I wish I had photos. I'm going to have to dig through and see if I can find photos. Because like there's a computer here that has like a vault of all different books and collections, Superman ones that have just kind of passed through my hands over the years. Yeah. So it'd be fun to pull some of those out.
And so like a collection like that, like what would that kind of run back 10 years ago?
Oh gosh, how much was it? It was, I don't want to misspeak. I'm going to guess it was probably 50 to 70K.
And
off the
50,
top of my head.
and so 10 years ago. So translate that into like value today. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's
300, 400,000, maybe more?
easily, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a collection of that caliber and that condition would easily be 400,000 today.
And
Yeah.
so, well, that's a fun story. And so you guys just got them graded, kind of turned them around, and
Yeah, a lot of the stuff stayed raw. Brent's still selling it, and those books are still making their way around.
that's
So if you find like a Tongi Farms book, that was one of them.
that's super fun. And so Danielle, you've been in the game for how long now? 20 years, you say? 17
Almost,
years?
yeah, going on 18 years.
And so how long into your career of, or not your career, I guess, but your time selling at conventions, did you
Yeah.
really find things kind of getting traction for you?
Well, so wait, ask that question again.
So like, when did things really start taking a positive upward swing for you? Like, when did things start making
Oh
sense? And you're like,
gosh. Where it's like, okay, like I'm just gonna go hard on this.
yeah, like I'm on to something. Like this could be like my full-time kind of gig, you know?
Yeah, I would say like 2 to 3 years in, where it was like less and less long boxes were coming in. And like I was talking one day and I'm like, I turn long boxes into short boxes into slabs as like just like a quick synopsis of, well, how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah.
And I didn't start only dealing in high-end books. Like the first show that I remember like really, really going to and setting up at, because like the first show I ever went to was San Diego, but I wasn't selling at that show. I know, insane. I was pregnant with my daughter.
with oh geez.
With Marissa. Yeah, I was pregnant with her. So she's 16 now. So very early on, that was my first con ever. But I started out bringing long boxes and like schlepping long boxes into conventions, out of conventions. And eventually I sold that. I turned it into smaller keys and turned those into bigger keys. And it's just a constant upgrading. And there are some people dealers to this day that enjoy doing long boxes because it's a lot of low hanging fruit. Because like you can buy books for $1, sell them for $10, and you do that over and over again. But for me, I didn't want it. Well, when I don't have a store or a warehouse. So for me, it's like the less boxes I can condense books into where I'm still turning it into profit, the better.
Yeah, and then you were also really good at buying the right books and holding as well, and then seeing like a return on investment, your money, you know, what it looks like. Because like some of your bigger ones, like your Action One, your Tech 27 and all that, like you had them before, like, and good for you.
Yeah, but the Detective 27 I paid up for, the Action One I paid up for. The Action One I ended up getting because I had that collection, the 1 to 400. And I sold the one from that to help fund the 3.5. I wish that I had the hindsight and the financial ability to hold on to some of the really nice copies that I've been offered or I've had and I've sold.
But you know, it's not a business model, and I know I speak for myself. I play with this all the time to just buy everything. You can't buy and hold everything. You know what I mean? And so a couple people are like, "Man, you shouldn't sell some of the stuff that you sell, like in the sense that you should hang on to as desirable." I'm like, "Well, it's also not a good business model to sell non-desirable items. You want people to come to you because you got some good stuff to sell."
Well, not only that, it's a balance, right? And it depends on like where you are in your life. Now I have had the ability to kind of build up my inventory, build up the personal collection, and I can choose to hold on to books that if you asked me a decade ago, I wouldn't dream of. If you asked me when I was 16, when I was kind of like in this really weird spot in my life, if I would be here today doing what I'm doing and like having a really successful business and just loving what I do, I would probably laugh in your face.
Yeah, well, because we speak about this often, Danielle, is you don't even really set up at shows anymore. Like you don't have a booth, like you're attending shows, like you were just at MegaCon.
I kind of miss it sometimes.
No, yeah, but you know what? Then kind of COVID hit, and I think you were one of the people that really adapted well and pivoted well with like the whole Nerdy Girl brand when you got Instagram going and you got some good traction, and you really, you hooked up with some great guys like with with Sammy and with Rage and the whole Whatnot team.
Yeah.
But also your claim sales really put you on the map too, Danielle. They did really well for you.
I'm coming back with one, guys. I was just talking the other day about needing to do another big claim sale. It's been too long.
But those are crazy, man, because you'd be like, what is this? Because everyone's stuck at home, and then you got you over there bouncing around, with these crazy books. I'm like, who is this girl? Like with these books.
And I am so thankful that we had the internet during COVID and that we had Instagram during COVID.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where my business would be.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people didn't adapt, Danielle. And not to say that they're not doing well, but it's just another tool in the toolbox. So what made you be like, yo, like, listen, I'm gonna launch this Instagram page, I'm gonna start putting pictures of books up, and then like what inspired you to do that?
Before COVID, I already had kind of a presence on Instagram, because I remember I was at a show and if 5 years ago, I didn't have a business page for Instagram. It kind of was just like my personal page that I would just post on sporadically. And every once in a while I would drop a book, and then someone noticed, hey, you have books on your page. Like, you're that nerdy girl from Instagram. And that's where the name was born, where it's like, oh, well, people already kind of know that I'm known for that. So COVID came and it definitely made me go harder on it, because I'm like, well, eBay's so expensive.
Yeah.
I don't really do a lot on Facebook groups. I don't have shows to set up at. What am I going to do? So I'm like, well, I'm really going to pour love and time and energy into building out my Instagram.
Yeah, you're fun too. You know what I mean? I think that's what really sets you apart, is you're just like a fun person. I listen, I always say it. That's why I like talking to you. I think we're similar. You're fun. You're cool. It's a fun, bubbly personality. Well, congratulations. And guys, I swear to God, you know what I mean? And Danielle can attest to this. I blow her phone up all the time because I second guess pardon my French, I second guess everything. A little hot mic moment there. I second guess everything. So Danielle is like the first person I turn to be like, what should I do on this? Even like last night at the auctions, I'm like, look at this book, it's super low. She's like, it'll move.
I could almost copy paste my text.
Yeah, but guys, Danielle is such a wealth of knowledge, and you're so accommodating too, Danielle, because I know how busy you are, but I know how often you take time out of your schedule just to help people such as myself, you know what I mean, that are just walking around blind, which is a metaphor for my life half the time, trying to feel their way around.
I live that hot mess life. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, man. Well, you certainly do a great job with everything you're doing. And so, yeah, so that's very exciting, Danielle. And then things kind of changed again, because you and I often talk now, it's kind of we're in the post-COVID universe where cons are going on again. And instead of setting up a booth, from an outsider watching what's going on, you're now being invited down to kind of attend as a guest, which is incredible. You know what I mean? So congratulations to that. Like, once again, another pivot, because I know they flew you and Sam down to the Little Giant show, and you guys were featured guests down there, which is incredible. You guys were
really fun. Well, Jason does such a great job putting that show on. I know people keep wanting it to be a 2-day show, but I love that it's a 1-day show, because it really makes people have this sense of urgency where they can't go the next day. If they don't make it that day, then they don't get to go.
Yeah. Well, and that's it too. But then look at this. And then Whatnot at MegaCon happens. You guys were down there, you and Skeleton Key, Sammy, and you guys were, streaming from their booth, and
that was so much fun. Their new booth is on another level. Stash Loot did such a great job designing that booth.
But it's really interesting if you look at your career, as we've kind of just been touching on brief pieces of it. It's really interesting to me as someone who's, just trying to take comic books a little more seriously as a viable career path, or at least one that supplements my income, to see all these different tools that you're using, that you've been very successful with, and these pivots that you've made to adapt. You're right on the cutting edge of all these trends, and so guys, listen, I'll be the first one to people. No one will really call me humble. I'm not, but I don't do it in a rude way, but as well as associate credit and kudos to where it's doing. Danielle, I think you are definitely a pioneer and an industry leader in all these things, because really I'm trying to like see and learn from you and what you're doing, and you're so successful in these things, and like how can I learn from Danielle and implement it into my business? And hey man, I think it's been doing good what I have been taking from you and implementing. And Whatnot's like this other thing that's just doing so well for everyone right now. And I've been bugging you about coming down to Canada for Fan Expo when they set up down here. Hopefully you can make it down, because I hear they're going to have their big setup down here, which is just amazing for me. You know what I mean? Because I get to go. It's kind of local to me, and hopefully I have some fun down there too. Well, guys, this was just a brief little glimpse, and Danielle, I really hope that you agree to share more of your story, of tales and intrigue of exploits and all that, because you have so many cool stories about so many cool books that come through your hand. Like, guys, Action Comics 1, Detective Comics 27. There's not many of them around, and I don't know how many you've handled or come through your hands over the years.
Combined? Oh gosh, over a dozen combined. If you count restored and unrestored, more.
Yeah, well, that's like a dozen or more than I'm ever gonna touch and handle. Because the train has left the station. The field we're in, the comic book industry, has continued. It evolves all the time, and things have just gone wild. And I'll agree with you. 10 years ago, Danielle, I would never have dreamed that books would achieve the values they're achieving today. Maybe you didn't either. And it's just crazy. But it's fun, and guys, I love talking to people that have been integral in really pushing our industry forward. And Danielle, you're definitely one of them, man, because everyone I talk to that's been around has nothing but kind words to say about you. And you're too humble to toot your own horn, so allow me to toot it for you.
Toot. All right, guys.
Guys, it's been so fun chatting with you guys and catching up. I'm Ryan from Nefarious Comics. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe to Danielle's Nerdy Girl channel, and follow her up on Instagram and whatnot.
Follow him too. All right, guys.
Adios. Bye.